Welcome to the Solemn Vanguard channel. Today we had another stream, and so of course we have to cover it. Note that if you still need anything from Clan Selection 2 or Overdress, you can go to 50cards.shop and use the code Solemn for a discount. So if you need any V goodies or the new Overdress stuff, link in the description. Now today on the stream we had basically all the Overtriggers. So I'll quickly go over the two we saw before, and then we go over the new ones. So first of all, we have the Dragon Empire one, which basically says beyond the 100 million and all the stuff we already know about Overtriggers. Choose one of your Vanguards and stand it. So you trigger this on grade 2, okay, you have 2 swings on grade 2. You trigger this on grade 3, you have 2 swings on grade 3, which is insane, especially with Stride on top of that in Premium. It isn't necessarily game-breaking as a skill, but it's so powerful when it's gonna go off. It's very hard for this skill to suck. There's some in here that won't really do all that much when triggered, depending on when you trigger it. But this one will basically always have a good payoff. Some payoffs will just be way stronger than others. Next we have the one for Dark States. Its additional effect is you get, during your turn, all of your Vanguards get power plus 10,000 and critical plus 1 until end of this fight. So this one is basically the earlier you see it, the better. Because if you see this on turn 1, you will now swing with a crit on turn 1, 2, 3, basically always with that extra power and so forth. And that just, you know, ramps your opponent out very, very quickly. So you see this on turn 1, you're winning hard. You see this on turn 2, you're still winning hard. However, if you see this on your very last drive check, let's say this is your last push, final turn type of thing, well, then you're not really getting all that much value from it because its extra skill is basically just another critical trigger. Now, of course, the 100 million might just make you win, which is still ridiculous. But I'm just saying, you know, the diminishing returns on this one do set in the later you see it in the fight. But the payoff is it's super strong the earlier you see it in the fight. Then the new ones. We have the one from Brandt Gate. Additional effect is double the power and critical of all your front row units until end of turn. Now this one is especially powerful on turn 3, 4, and basically from that point onwards. Because if you're seeing this on turn 2, okay, wow, you changed your 10k into 20 and you got an extra crit. That's basically the same as a regular critical trigger, and the 100 million power doesn't really do anything that early in the game either. But when you have a full field, maybe you Persona rode, or maybe you didn't, this is more powerful than a Persona ride. Now you double your crits and so forth. This will instantly win games sometimes. So where it's, you know, pretty alright, early in the game, later on it becomes uber strong. This might actually be the most swingy one, in my opinion. Maybe after, I think the Dragon Empire one might actually swing the game harder than this one. I'm not entirely sure, but this one swings hard. Like this is a game changer. Then we have the Keter Sanctuary one. Its additional effect is until end of turn, you also perform drive checks for the battles your rear guards attack. This one has huge potential for high roll, but also potential for low roll. While it is incredible to just get free drive checks, when those checks are nothing, this trigger offensively really didn't do anything. And if it's early in the game and you don't have any rear guards, it also does nothing. However, if you see this with a nice full field, maybe you have some grade 3s in the front row, and you start seeing triggers of this, that can balloon out of proportion really, really quickly. Now, some people might say, oh, this with Ultima. Okay, first of all, again, if you are in Premium reaching Ultima, you are already winning the game. You do not need a fancy overtrigger. Does this improve Ultima? Absolutely. My mind is already racing, like, oh, I could do this, I could do that, I could do that. That's exciting, sure. But, again, if you are an Ezel player, you are doing an Ultima with Providential Angel, don't worry about this. You're already winning. It really doesn't add much beyond that. Now, maybe you could now start damage denying until Ultima. That's an option. But overall, you know, the people going wild over Overtriggers are breaking the game with Ultima, we have other things to worry about. Ultima is the least of our worries. Overall, it's just interesting to see what we'll do with this. I do see like lots of really interesting potential with Ultima on this one, not just Overtriggers in general. This one is going to open up some things. But yeah, the high roll potential on this one in Overdress format is huge. The low roll potential is also there. So I feel like Overtrigger as a whole is not a balanced concept to me still. But from a power level perspective, this one is going to be very unbalanced when things go right and very, very fair when things go wrong. Finally, we have the Stoicheia one, and its additional effect is draw a card, choose one of your units, and it gets critical plus 1. and all of your front row units get power plus 10,000. And if your damage zone has more cards than your opponent's, choose a card from your damage zone and heal it. So what do you notice? Draw trigger, front trigger, crit trigger, and heal trigger. This card's additional effect is actually, hello, I'm a rainbow trigger. I am every trigger at once. This is exciting. So, you know, I'm a Stoicheia simp forever and ever. This card by itself doesn't really swing games. When you trigger this, your opponent doesn't instantly die, and you don't instantly win in any way. You're not really doing anything game-breaking. What you are doing is a lot of fair things stacked on top of each other. This one will basically never be bad, because drawing a card on turn 2 with an extra crit and with extra power, it's just you're having a good time. But obviously it's not as powerful as seeing it on turn 3, where you get all of those things. If you start healing, also exciting. Now you suddenly have kind of 5 heals in your deck. So this is like a baseline improvement of your turn, a baseline improvement of your deck, but it never really swings games in the crazy ways that we see with other Overtriggers. So it's really hard to judge how good this card is, because it doesn't do any inherently unfair things, but it does a lot of things at once. And I don't know if that is actually unfair. I feel like I am much more scared of an early Dark States or a high roll of Keter or a Dragon Empire, you know, at the right time, than I am of this card. But I also realize that all of those can kind of trigger and not do much, whereas this one will usually at least do something. I guess the Dragon Empire one is kind of like that, because that one will never be bad. I'd say more so the other 3, you know, can come at worse times and not do much, whereas this one, I look at it like high floor but lower ceiling from a power perspective, if that makes sense, which is exciting. That's basically what I want. Like, I was very afraid of slotting this into a premium deck of mine and going, oh damn, maybe it doesn't synergize well with my stuff, maybe it doesn't do this, maybe it doesn't do that. This card is never gonna be bad. I'm never gonna feel bad about running this. Is it possible in the future we will get an Overtrigger that's more powerful and we take that power over this consistency? Absolutely. But overall, you know, it's one of those cards where when in doubt, use this one, because it's just good. It's just, oh cool, that's always gonna be good. Finally, we also had the DSR of Trickstar, this little cutie right here. So if that's something you're into, you know, enjoy, I guess. Obviously, if we get a Megumi version of Magnolia like this, I will have to pick it up. Hope you found it interesting. Once again, if you need anything from Clan Selection 2 or Overdress, 50cards.shop, use the code Solemn, and I will see you soon. Ciao.